Preparing to go live. Cool. Let's get in the right view here. How's it going, dude?
It's going awesome, man. How are you?
I'm good. Things are cool.
Fantastic.
Happy Friday. Wait, is it Friday?
I think so.
Dude?
Going awesome, man.
Crazy week.
I'm good.
I'm muting my Facebook. Sorry.
Yeah, no, me too. We're good.
Awesome. So, what's going on?
Just kicking it on Friday, man. Just trying to get stuff wrapped up.
Is it casual Friday?
It's always casual Friday.
Awesome. Good times. I'm trying to get it wrapped up too. We just did an 1.5-hour webinar with our business partners. So that was awesome. We just finished literally like 3 minutes ago. So
fun.
That went well. We reviewed our 2017 business results with them.
Nice.
How it all played out, for and with them, and our plans for 2018. So that was a biggie.
Oh, that's a big deal.
It is. Yeah, it was.
How do we scale this thing even further?
It was good. Yeah, it was a good deal. So
very cool.
What are we talking about today, man?
I think we've got a couple of things to go over here live on this Facebook device.
Okay.
And that is, we want to cover our new course on Udemy.
Oh, yeah.
People are aware of that.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about the topic that has been present in our little community for this last month, and that is blogging for e-commerce.
Yeah.
So blogging doesn't really get as much love in terms of an e-commerce topic because, frankly, it takes a lot of work. And so e-commerce people just want to make money, and they want to make money now.
Yep.
And they don't want to have to put in the time and energy to necessarily make money in the long term.
Yep.
Because it's all about what pays the bills today. But
yeah,
we have a different take on that, and we think that blogging can serve a lot of purposes in your e-com business.
Yep.
So we're gonna chat about that. But first, let's tell people about the new course that is now live on Udemy.
Yeah. I'm really, really excited about this course. So if you're tracking with us, you're part of our inner circle group or whatever, or you're a student on Udemy, you know now that we've been focused on this topic. It was really the emphasis of our December training in our inner circle program. And then we just published it live to Udemy for anybody who wants to pick it up. And it is entitled Where to Sell, a Sales Channel Strategy Blueprint. And so the crazy thing is, like, most e-commerce, just the short, use case for why you need this training is most entrepreneurs and online sellers jump in, because they hear about an opportunity on, back in the day it was eBay,
right.
And a few years ago it was Amazon. Like, you can sell on Amazon. And you're like, what? You can sell on Amazon? And you jump in. And then once you get into it for a while, you start to build revenues and ideally income, and ideally it's life-changing. And then you start to say to yourself, well, man, I'm hearing this chatter about selling on these other sites, and you start to just get exposed to all of these sales channel, marketplaces that are options for you. And it could be really overwhelming. And so I think in the process of going through this, you talked to somebody at Channel Advisor that said there are over 200 sales marketplaces for online sellers. That is it's remarkable.
A lot of options out there. It's a big world.
It's a huge world, and it's only getting bigger. That number is probably going to sound silly small in a few years. So the question is, how do you create your own blueprint and battle plan, your systematic approach, so you can say, look, I know exactly where I'm selling online, why I'm selling there, and it's set up to maximize my income, reduce and minimize my work, and make it all work together for me, not for the other, not for the marketplace sellers, but how does it work best for you? And so that the whole training is all focused on that stuff. And it was really fun to do.
Yeah, no, there's some practical application just in terms of, I think, getting clarity around your business goals, where you need to be selling, what best fits your brand and your personality. And yeah, no, there's some great stuff in there.
Yeah,
Some really good takeaways. So that is now live on Udemy.
it is. It is ridiculously cheap, by the way. Udemy is
Sale.
full of pricing shenanigans all the time, but it's a great platform, and I love publishing on Udemy. And honestly, if it didn't work for us financially, we wouldn't do it. But it does work, and the courses are listed generally at between $100 and $200. But they do almost every month. They're doing some kind of crazy slash and burn,
right?
$10 sale or something like that. And as a publisher there, at first I was like, oh my gosh, but then after a while I was like, well, they know what they're doing, because it's definitely working. And they've got, last I heard, it was something like 15 million users on that platform. So, and I think most of our students are international students, not US, but I think we just went over 11,000 students.
That's crazy.
And so it's really, really cool. And so if you're listening to this and that's of interest to you, go check out our Where to Sell Online Sales Channel Strategy Blueprint training. We'll add a link, I'm sure, underneath this in Facebook. Love to have you jump into that. We've already gotten great feedback. And so that's super fun as well. It's cool to start to hear people's response to it. And our Inner Circle members had great response to it as well. I'll ask you this question, but I'll give you time to think about it. But what was your number one most compelling item that we covered in that training? And for me, the one that stood out to me that was really like, okay, no one's talking about this, is the idea of the sales frontier, possibilities frontier, where this is basic like microeconomics. When you talk about it's adapted from a concept called the possibility frontier, and it's an idea that you want to think through your time and your money involved in your current sales channels, and then thinking through the time commitments and opportunity involved in growing revenue, and really plotting it, rather than just being like, I heard about eBay and I'm going to make a ton on eBay. It's going to be easy, no work, and I'm going to make a ton of money, and that's my only plan.
So that's probably,
this idea helps you quantify the plan.
For sure, it's a much better strategy than what I was using before, which is I just took this big dice and I'd write a name of a marketplace and I just roll it, and then that would be the marketplace that we launched in. This is an actual structured process that you walk through to make a decision. No, I think that's great. That is what the biggest takeaway for me in that course too was, just the having a system to evaluate opportunity.
Right.
There's so much opportunity, right? As an e-commerce seller, there's over 200 marketplaces. Which ones do you pick? Which ones do you go after? And having something to filter that down and to be able to make a decision and a choice that's clear and pretty quick. It's not like you don't have to do like 5 months of research. You just have to kind of lay it out. And then you make a decision. And actually, I applied that last night, actually, because I was talking with my business partner on Amazon stuff, and we were chatting about kind of the next marketplace within Amazon's ecosystem that we wanted to tackle. And we were talking about China, and then we were also talking about Japan. So both of them have their own separate Amazon marketplaces, and they both have these various levels of complexity in terms of how to sell there, and the tax stuff, and
language
translation, translation, and which one we would have easier access to translation resources. And so we were kind of talking about this whole thing, and I was like, well, let's lay this thing out. So we kind of went back and forth using that framework, and still haven't landed on a decision yet, because there's a few more details that we realized as we were kind of laying it out in the framework that we were still missing some key data points. And so we're like, okay, great. So now we have to go find this data, and then we can kind of make a logical decision from there.
But you had a framework,
we had a framework, which we didn't really use before. The framework I used before wasn't quite dice, but it was like, I think this is the next to play. There wasn't really any sort of like framework to make the decision. We're just like, this looks like a great opportunity. Let's just jump on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's worked out great. Other times, eBay, it just like sat there and really did nothing. It's like hasn't produced any sort of revenue. And now, granted, I didn't dump a lot of time into eBay,
Right.
but I didn't have a lot of time to spend on eBay, right? So it kind of sits there, does its thing, and who knows if that's even worth pursuing for us.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. The other piece to me that was real interesting was just I never had a tool set, a toolbox to really help students who said, should I create my own website?
Right.
Or versus just sell on a marketplace. And I feel like this training really helped us document a set of decisions where a e-commerce seller can say, what are the pros and cons of my own website versus just selling on Amazon or eBay? And this training really works towards solving that riddle, because it is a riddle and it's a hard decision. And obviously there's a ton of expense involved and time involved for setting up your own site. And honestly, like there's two big takeaways. The first takeaway is the answer is just not sell on every marketplace. That can't be the answer.
No,
that's not the right answer. And the other right answer is selling on your own website might not be right for you.
Right.
It might be a waste of time and money. And working through that, logically with a process and tools and the training materials, I think very, very helpful content. And I think our students are giving us that feedback. So I'm really excited to see where this course goes. It's like our little
and I think baby as the complexity in the marketplaces continues to grow, because there will not be a lessening of options unless Amazon just buys them all. Right. Exactly. And that could happen. It could just become Amazon buys all marketplaces and it's just Amazon and they take over the world. Yeah. But in lieu of that happening, there's going to be probably more options out there in the world. So it's even more important to have a framework for mapping your growth in terms of channels. So love it.
Absolutely agree, man. 100%.
And it's exciting. So that's the course. It's on Udemy. You'll find a link in this video at some point.
Show notes, Yep.
But other fun stuff that we want to cover next 30 minutes or so is blogging. Now, most people, and I'd be one of them, don't immediately say, yes, blogging is the answer to kind of long-term viability of my e-commerce business. Yeah. But based on the conversations we have and experience, that would be a mistake.
Yeah, that would be a total mistake. Right. And I'll be honest, I was kind of shocked when we polled our inner circle group, and pretty much, most people said they don't have their blog set up in association with their e-commerce website. That was kind of surprising to me. So but it's like no judgment. It is what it is. It's like there's a list of, everybody has a list of,
it's fine.
Everybody has their list of things that they want to get to. So then the question is, how does blogging rank as a benefit to an e-commerce business? That's the real fundamental question, because if it ranks better than anything else you could possibly do, then everybody would have it done, right?
Exactly.
So then the question is, what's the value of blogging for e-commerce selling or online selling? And so the training that we're doing right now, we're doing this for our inner circle this month, and it's been fantastic. In fact, we're pretty well done now, but we're still working on the SEO related content. And I'm not sure if we decided yet or not how we're going to handle the SEO content with our special guest. Or
we haven't yet. But
okay,
we will. We will make a decision, and we'll let everybody know.
So the gist of it is this blogging for e-commerce. There's really like 3 core use cases for blogging in support of an online selling effort, and the first one is traffic.
Right.
And so blogging in such a way that you add meaningful, large amounts of traffic to your e-commerce site or selling effort is job number 1. And that is completely possible, totally doable. It's systematic in how it can be done. It's not a mystery and it's not luck. There's process for doing it. And so traffic is the first and most important, reason that people should do blogging in a support of the e-commerce business.
Right.
The top 4 sources of traffic on the internet, referral traffic from one site to the next, has been a standing list. It's a long time that it's baked in, like the system of referral traffic is pretty well established at this point. And the number one, source of referral traffic is organic search results. So that means Google organic search, et cetera, et cetera. And blogging directly taps into that. I mean, it's just, that's what you blog for, is for search engine results pages. The second most common way people get to a website is direct typing of the URL right in the browser bar. Like, oh, I want to go to Lita Art Supply. That's what I want to buy. That's who I know. I'm going there. Mm-hmm. Well, blogging helps you build your brand. And so indirectly, I would say it touches that one. Then the third way is Facebook. And Facebook is the best distribution channel for your blog articles in association with your e-commerce selling efforts. And then the fourth one is Pinterest. And Pinterest is basically designed for blog articles to be shared on it. If you do the imagery right, it's perfect. And so of the top 4, blogging touches on all those. None of those are advertising.
Right.
And that's super important, because I know as entrepreneurs, we're like, well, I got to start spending money on Facebook ads. Why do you have to do that? Well, because that's what I heard is the most important thing. Because maybe it's the best way to lose money too.
It is a pretty good way to spend money if you like to give Facebook.
Yeah. So I'm just a cheapskate at heart, and
take that, Facebook.
Obviously Facebook's changing its methodology, and they're truncating organic reach to 0, basically to nothing hardly. But nonetheless, your blog content tied to your e-commerce, then shared to Facebook, is a very elegant path. And then, of course, you can boost and advertise those posts. So anyway, all those reasons for traffic is super vital, in my opinion. And that's the first use case for blogging. Right. Second use case is straight up sales. And blogging is instrumental in straight up sales. There's so many ways it helps. And we could rattle them all off. Justifying the sale is the top of mind idea with blogging, where you basically, you explain to the customer more details in a much more involved way than you can on a product listing. You explain why. Why should they buy your product? Well, how does it compare to the other products? And you unpack it in blog articles. And justifying the sale is a huge part. But there are other tricks and methods that we go through in the training for how to do sales straight up on blog articles. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's good stuff. I was just thinking back to traffic really quickly in social media. Yeah. Oftentimes people have a question around, well, what do I post? What do I use for my content on social media? If you have a blogging strategy, content for social media becomes a piece of cake, because all you're doing is using your Facebook pages, and potentially Pinterest is part of that, and even Instagram if you're doing images associated with these blogs and it fits the brand. You're just basically using it as a channel to promote that. And you know what? And the other benefit of that is that then you begin to understand your customer and your fan even better. Because guess what? When you're posting that blog material out to Facebook, guess what sort of engagement and metrics you're going to get to see? You're going to get to see likes, you're going to get to see comments, you're going to get to see shares. Yep. And you'll know pretty quickly the type of content that resonates best with your audience. And that's going to be gold for you as you are kind of doing your marketing, your positioning, your advertising. When you want to run an ad, you're going to know the type of content in which to kind of angle your ads towards to get the best engagement possible. And that's a huge benefit. And that only happens if you have a content strategy wrapped around ideally that blogging content, because you're stacking benefits, right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, the best thing for us to do as marketers, as entrepreneurs, is to fully leverage the channels that are at our disposal. And blogging, to my surprise, I'll be honest, when you started unpacking this more and I started looking at it more, I was like, that just makes a lot of sense. And it allows you to leverage your time and your energy and your resources at multiple levels. And there aren't that many channels that let you do that effectively.
Right.
Just being honest about it, they're rare. And if you can master this one, you will be able to do that.
So you're basically saying blogging has basically been ignored or neglected by most e-commerce sellers.
Yeah, and I think it's because they haven't really put together the benefits properly, right? They don't understand the long-term effectiveness of using this channel.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I didn't really think about it in that term. When I think of blogging, it's like, okay, you're writing content, you're just kind of providing, but it's a layered approach. If you're systematic about it, there can be this layered approach that we talk about in our training that really, really becomes powerful and can make a difference, not even in the short term, but has the long-term benefit. Because you might get the short-term benefit of sharing it on social media and kind of building out the robustness of your brand, but then you start to see the long-term benefits of organic traffic from search engines as well. And so you just start layering these benefits together, and just it's really powerful.
Yeah, so totally agree. And so two thoughts come to my mind. We should probably talk about what's the number one, what you might call a barrier to people mentally engaging with blogging as a marketer, and then what's the number one benefit. Let's talk through those. But let me just say that just to finish the thought, the three core pieces of our training this month are traffic, sales, and then brand building. Those three pieces are what the training really digs into deeply, and how blogging supports each of those. So what would you say is, like, for the average marketer, what's their barrier to using blogs, like the number one concern or problem or frustration?
They're like, Jason, I'm not a writer. It takes too much time. I don't have the time to do it. And I don't know really what to blog about.
I think that's probably, I think there's two groups. One group is fluent writers that are comfortable, natural writers. They don't fear it. They just jump into it. Those people are a different use case than a lot of marketers or online sellers would say. I'll sit down to try to write a blog post. I'll have a topic in mind. I get 3 sentences done, and then it's time for dinner. I quit. It doesn't.
I have a customer support email that's it's blaring, and I have to put out a fire.
So, I think that's the biggest challenge to the idea. And then there's really 2 outcomes from that you could work through if you can deal with that. And the first one, of course, is just to say, well, if you see the value of blogging as high enough, you'll go through anything to get it done. So part of it is like, well, I don't see the value of this, and besides, I'm distracted, busy, have customer complaints, have to do something else. So that's to me, that's the loop, is solving the technical problems, frustrations, fears related to doing it, but then marrying that to the big benefit, the big payoff, so that you're psychologically motivated to get through that pain. Because it's like any other marketing skill. And, we talk a lot about email marketing as well. And a lot of our students that we begin to work with, when we, do our introductory phone calls with them, we ask the question, what's your email marketing strategy look like? Commonly, it's not done at all, or done sporadically. So, but we talk about this, and it's just like any other trade skill. It's like, well, all the best marketers who make all the money have a systematic email marketing approach. Do you want to be the best marketer that makes all the money? Yes, you do. Therefore, learn how they do it. And it's the same for blogging, really. The best e-commerce companies do the most effective ongoing content management strategies and blogging. And so just going through that process, they're writing prompts and techniques, and we've gone through a lot now in our best practices webinar, where we talk about how do you overcome the problems of just basics of getting a blog article finished. And so we gave a ton of tips on how to do all that. So those are known issues that are easily overcome. It's like saying, how do you learn to play the flute? Okay, Let's break it down. Here's the known issues. Here's how you go through the process. And it's the same for blogging.
Yep.
The big benefit, I would say, the number one benefit, if I had to say anything in terms of why you should do blogging, and this one might surprise you, is all of us have finite time to spend on marketing shenanigans. I mean, marketing schemes, plans, like what can I do to make e-commerce sales happen, right? We all have a finite amount of time.
Right.
But here's the most important part. So if you have a finite amount of time, the real question is not whether you're going to invest that time. The real question is, how long does that activity that you do pay you back?
Right.
Because if tomorrow I still don't have very much time, the question is, did what I did yesterday still rewarding me?
Yeah.
And is there this accumulation of benefits from my just grinding it out? I don't have time, and yet I finished something and it benefits me. And I just got to tell you, a lot of people are spending time tweeting because it can take them 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes. But if they would just spend that equivalent amount of time building their blog practice, they would look back in over 6 months' time or 9 months' time or a year's time, they would have a flood of traffic from search engine results, Pinterest, Facebook, other social media accounts, all because of the blogging work that they invested into. Whereas other things, and you could call this the half-life of the socially created asset. Blogs have it's like making a video and making a blog post are the two that they just last.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some videos for our company that we made 8 years ago, still out there, still sending traffic. And you're like, wow. And blogs are the same way.
Yeah.
So that to me is the number one benefit is if you're going to invest your time, you better invest it in something that really, really pays you back big time. Blogging can do that.
No, I totally agree. And when we covered that in the course as well, like how to leverage your blog.
Yeah.
If you're like, I want to do Twitter, well, guess what? If you write a really cool blog, you're probably going to be able to pull out a few tweets out of that blog and even get more traffic to it, more social signals, helps across the board. So I think that is phenomenal. So big takeaway for me, though, if I'm trying to sit down and do a blog, I should probably close my Facebook and my Twitter and not try to look at both at the same time while I'm writing, because I'm like, oh, what's happening over here? And then my blogs just never get written. Right?
What did Donald Trump just say? What? I'm totally distracted.
What just happened? Yeah, exactly. So
no, there's definitely a process for writers where they call it getting in flow, where you basically get to a place where you can be in the creative writing mode. And it's actually interestingly the same. There's actually almost like a same mental mind frame you get into when you're making a video, where you can get in a place like for on-camera video work where you can just flow.
Yep.
And you don't self-edit. You don't stop, repackage, start over.
Right.
You just flow. And for people who write a lot, you get to the place where it's almost like psychologically where your mind is at and whether you can get in flow or not. And the disciplined writers have become disciplined so much that they have the triggers that they set themselves up for. So that, for example, every morning, 6:30, I'm going to write 1,500 words because that's my process. And when you do that systematically enough, you get in flow in just moments, because you've just become disciplined to do it. It's almost like any other biological process. And so that's a big part of it.
And then the law of average kicks in too, because if you're writing 1,500 words every single morning, eventually some of those 1,500 words are going to be pretty decent.
It's going to get good.
And you can just take it and you start working it, because over time you're going to have some pretty solid content. Maybe not all 1,500 words you write every day is going to be solid stuff, and that's okay.
Yeah.
because it's just like I might go to the gym one day and I'm just weak and I don't know why. Probably something I ate or slept or whatever, but I just don't have any strength. But you keep going anyway because it's discipline of doing it, right?
So let me ask you this.
Right.
Because this is very common for entrepreneurs. And you and I, we've been around the space so long that we know thematically what's super hot.
Right.
And so it's funny because it's like email marketing and blogging literally feel like pulling teeth to try to get entrepreneurs engaged in the topic.
Yeah. Right.
But it's one of the most fundamental things that just like ground floor best practice. Why do you think the entrepreneur, e-commerce, online, hopeful seller is mesmerized by the shiny objects and so averse to the, meat and potatoes type topics? Any thoughts on that whole?
Yeah. So I think partially because the people that are selling them the products are selling them the flashy good stuff without the dose of reality that has to come with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Like if you're new, especially if you really want to make sales, right?
Yeah.
You're going to gravitate towards speed, and speed isn't necessarily always your friend in business.
Yeah.
You definitely moving fast without experience will get you experience. Like you're gonna learn quickly about what you don't want to do because you're moving fast to it. And there's a benefit to that. But if you don't have any time or money and you're really like freaking out about it, then you probably might not want to throw yourself into like a Facebook advertising campaign to try and launch your store.
But in your mind, you choose those options because it feels like that's the fastest path to,
Well, and also they were probably taught
the moon.
They were probably taught. They're probably shown, hey, I launched my Shopify store with drop shipping, and I'm now making $50,000 a month, and I just started it last week. And so they hear these stories, and some of those stories I totally believe. I think that you can start a store, and there's people who are doing it, but it takes a rare type of entrepreneur that most likely had some level of experience before they started this store.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just like I just came off the street and I used to, used to be a financial planner and I'd never learned anything about marketing. And I literally started my store today and got to 100,000. No, more likely it's a marketer who has had some experience or advertising, or they had money and they paid somebody who knew what they were doing.
And for them, it was like they have a whole tool chest full of tools.
Right.
They pick up a new tool and they're like, wow, I can really do some damage with this. I've never used it before. Yeah. And then they're the ones that are the poster child for the new tool.
Right.
Like, well, I could have probably done the same thing with my 9 other tools I know how to use.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. So people see it and then they're like, oh, I can do it too. And then they try. And if they're persistent enough with their vision for it, they will eventually find success, right?
Yeah.
You can eventually work your way to that success. But oftentimes people just get discouraged and then they jump to the next shiny object because the person that probably sold them the course before is probably going to be selling them another course, or maybe they're selling their buddy's course and it's affiliate marketing. And now they're just pummeling your inbox with so many different offers.
The shiny short term. And, you and I mean, we work with a lot of students. We hear that over and over. It's like for a person who's gone from one shenanigan to the next shenanigan. And it's, to some degree, it's sort of disheartening because, I mean, our feedback to them is like, look, the basics are, the following 3 things. Let's go for those. And that's what you and I, that's why I like working with you so much on our training stuff, because you and I are, even though, we can geek out over whatever, retargeting or any, the latest, strategies, the hard work of the fundamentals is what we also really get excited about. And so for me, that's part of this whole blogging topic is, if you're a new marketer, you say to yourself, I want to make $100,000 a year, or I want to pick a number, then then it's like, okay, I've got all these options. Then the real question for me is like, if picking one of those or two of those things, the question is, what is the probability of success?
Yep.
And a lot of people are like, I want to go for that super hard one way out there that, man, it just seems so easy. But it's almost like the ones that seem so easy that you could get so rich off of, usually are the ones that are the least likely to materialize. The ones that sound so hard, like, oh my gosh, I could never blog every day. That sounds so boring, so hard. But the probability of the payoff of that grind on the blogging, on the email marketing, on the basics, those are the like the high probability but difficult compared to the super, super low probability, shenanigan. And I think that's something to think about.
No, I agree. I think some of it too comes down to barrier of entry, right?
Yeah.
It takes potentially a lot more time to really nail your blogging, to sort of see the benefit of blogging in terms of your bottom line,
than spending $100 on Facebook ads.
Then with a credit card and like I can get my free image in Facebook that I can use, and I'm a marketer. I'm in business, but the reality is that if you took that same amount of energy, or actually a lot more energy, you're going to take a lot more time and energy and thoughtfulness in building out your blogging strategy. Then you should take the same amount of time with your Facebook strategy and your advertising, but most likely it's going to require you to take more with blogging. And it feels more like a grind. It feels like you're just pushing hard and you're not seeing any immediate
but results. Here's the thing. I think like between me and you, the difference between me and you and our styles, I think for you, blogging feels like a grind and geeking out over Facebook ads feels easy. But for me, blogging feels easy and geeking out over Facebook ads feels like a total grind.
Yeah, no, that's true. Everybody's personality thing too for that as well.
Yeah.
I agree. But see, like, but for me too, like if the blogging piece of it came along, then I'm immediately going to start gravitating towards the analytics of that blog. Like, hey, am I getting page views? How can we optimize that? Am I getting conversions off this blog for whatever I'm doing? So like that whole piece of it still does exist for me in that. But yeah, for sure. If I had to make a choice, I would rather be optimizing a campaign than writing a new piece of content.
Right.
And that's just how I'm wired.
Yeah. So this is great, man. I mean, I think for anybody watching this and you say, well, I need to learn more about blogging. Our training that we're doing right now is in the Inner Circle program. If you're listening to this, you never even heard of our Inner Circle program, you feel free to hit us up on winningionshopify.com. We do training on a whole set of online topics, not just Shopify. In fact, our new domain we need to set up, which is winning online.
Winning.online.
And so we'll do that this year. But we teach on Shopify and also many other topics, paid advertising and on and on and on.
So, Amazon, we talk about paid traffic and blogging and social media and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
So you can get access to the training right now if you join our Inner Circle program. It's super cheap. It's $19 a month, which people make fun of us over. I mean, it's so cheap. Like, even our own students have said you should raise the price.
They're like, where are you selling this? Walmart? Like, they're like, the prices are falling.
But it's $19 a month. So that, honestly, if anyone wants to learn this stuff, they can join us at that price point. And then in the future, we'll add it to Udemy as a standalone class as well. So if you appreciate Udemy, like to learn in that format where it's very short videos, we put it on there as well. So we want to make sure we give you access to that information, and happy to answer questions. If you have questions about how blogging mechanics work, that kind of thing. I share the details in our training, but in the 12 days after Christmas, I had over 25,000 blog comments on our e-commerce site. I have written blogs and then commercialized them with books with McGraw-Hill. So we talk about that example as well. So I've certainly had plenty of blogs that were ugly and did nothing and didn't go anywhere. And still some of those are around. But, it's a process. And so, you have your hits and you have your misses. But it's definitely worth the work, in my opinion. So
I agree. And
awesome.
you get access to training like this inside Winning on Shopify Inner Circle, soon to be winning.online. You also get access to our closed Facebook group.
Oh, yeah, right.
Not only do you get the training, but then you also get to interact with 6 and 7 figure e-commerce owners and entrepreneurs, and it's cool. There's a lot of really awesome people on there with just diverse businesses. It's a beautiful thing to see how many different niches and strategies and business models that people have. It's really cool.
Yeah, tons of interesting different e-commerce sellers, and every time we see somebody join and we hear about what they're doing, we're like, wow, that's awesome.
That's a niche, really?
Yeah, it's good people.
Yeah.
There are good people in our group. It's very, very cool. So it's an honor, right? We learn from them and how they're using tools and resources and systems for our businesses. I mean, it's beneficial for us to just know them, and it's an honor to be able to kind of be their coach and helper.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, dude. Good times. Good times. We got anything else to chat about? Are we going to wrap it up here? Are we done?
I think I'm good. I mean, we could chat if there's something else you have in mind, but
I'm good, dude. I'm ready for the weekend. I got to be really honest. I've got several projects. I'm burning the candle at both ends right now. And so on Saturday, I have a business thing going. And on Sunday, I have a different business thing going. And that has nothing to do with you and I's business going. So
I know, crazy. Right? I actually feel I have a list, and I literally was running out of paper of stuff that I either need to be thinking about or I need to have done before, because I'm leaving in a couple days for sunnier weather, hopefully in Hawaii. So I have a bunch of things. I was like, okay, I need to get this done and 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 this, and then I was like, oh, and this and this and this and this. So
are you permitted to take your phone and laptop, or are you going to be completely off grid?
No, I will be taking my phone and laptop. Yeah. Okay. So I'll either spend some nice, fun early mornings working on stuff, or in the evenings
from the beach.
There'll be plenty of time where I will not be anywhere near either of them. So
yeah, for sure. I hope so. Honestly, hopefully I have a blast. So go find some turtles and
I will. I have a couple scuba diving trips planned, so I definitely will not be near them at that point, because that would be badly for those devices.
Awesome. Good times, man. All right.
Cool, man.
Have fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
All right. We'll see you. Bye, everybody. And thanks again for hanging out with us. Yep. See ya.